Hi, John here, the Hat Guy. I want to talk about conspiracy theories, or at least one that has been churning in my mind. There's a lot going on in the world today. The coronavirus outbreak, it's got the factories in China shut down, and now people over here in this country are worried about where they'll get their items to sell or to buy. Personally, I say start some factories up here. Probably the only thing that Bernie Sanders has ever said that's made a lick of sense to me is that we need to worry about ourselves and not the rest of the world. I agree with that. Everything he says about going about it is wrong, in my opinion. But I believe that we need to focus on ourselves, and that's what President Trump is trying to do. But the coronavirus, it's fascinating, isn't it? Someone posted a few days ago in Facebook a photograph of an old textbook that was opened up to a page that showed viruses. Now on this page, it had a picture of the microscope view of the viruses, their scientific name and their common name. And one of them was the picture that we've seen for the coronavirus. And right next to it, the scientific name was coronavirus. This was in a textbook. Clearly, this is not something new. Now, granted, it may be a new strain. But guess what this textbook said was the common name for the coronavirus? The common cold. Yes, it's deadly. It's a virus. Any virus can be deadly. And people die from all sorts of viruses, even the common cold and the flu. But did you know last year more people died from the flu in this country than have died worldwide from the coronavirus? Fascinating. The conspiracy theory that comes to mind is the timing of it all. Now, it's been said many times by politicians, and it's a little murky who said it first, but it's been said that to never let a good crisis go to waste. And the timing of this one is fascinating indeed. This is the early March 2020, and in November of this year, we have a presidential election, and it's a major election. President, a lot of members of the House and the Senate, local politicians everywhere. It's a big election year. And what's going on in the election right now? Well, as of today, March the 5th, there are 3 Democratic contenders left in their primary. There's Elizabeth Warren, who is barely holding on to the fact that she's in the race at all. There's Bernie Sanders, who prefers Fidel Castro's method of governance, by his own words, by the way, than anything this country has ever done. And there's Joe Biden, who clearly is starting to lose control of his thought and his mouth. He says anything that pops into his head, and it frequently rather, is not relative to what he was saying. He doesn't know where he is half the time. He doesn't know what day of the week it is. Super Tuesday, he called Super Thursday. And for a lifelong career politician, that's hard to explain. At one point, he said he was running for Senate and not president. And yet, this is the best that the Democrats have to offer. They don't like Bernie Sanders. I don't know why, because he shares their deep-held secret beliefs anyway, that the government should control everything. They haven't really voiced that up until recent years, but Bernie's been saying it forever. Bernie is an avowed communist, and I think their big problem with him is not that he's a communist, but the fact that he currently holds office as an independent and not as a Democrat. I think if he were to change his party to Democrat, they might loosen up a little bit and suddenly like him. Just my opinion. I personally don't think either of them have a chance, and I think they know it. Donald Trump is far too popular with the common man, the working man, the the real men of America. And by men, I mean men and women, everybody. It's not a sexist thing. It's a term that's used to describe people. The fact that they've all of a sudden thrown all of their weight behind Joe Biden, who is clearly unelectable, is fascinating, because I don't think, and I don't think anybody, including themselves, believe that he can actually beat President Trump unless something drastic happens. Now, in comes the coronavirus. Now, whether this was engineered by someone or it was naturally occurring, and I'm not going to get into that point. I've heard fairly interesting arguments that this was orchestrated and planned 5 years ago. It's a little far-fetched, but in today's world, it wouldn't surprise me. Regardless of where it started or who started it or how it started, the interesting thing is that it does exist. It's arguable about whether it's deadly. Facebook banned the photograph of the page that I was talking about that told you that the coronavirus is the common cold. I reposted that picture, and Facebook then, a few hours later, sent me a message saying that it was I was displaying something that was only partially true. Well, that's interesting. This came out of a biology textbook, and now Facebook is claiming to be a biologist at the least, and a scientist and controlling official at worst. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that gets posted that's not true. I'll be the first one to admit that. But when this comes out of a biology textbook, it's worth at least noting, I think. Granted, the virus may have mutated and may have gotten worse. That's entirely possible. However, there's only been, I think, 6 deaths in this country because of that. More people die of all sorts of things in the time span that this has happened than what the coronavirus has killed in this country. But I'm not going to go down that route. The point is, it exists, and the panic has taken hold, and people are taking notice, and the president is doing things. But I think the Democrats don't expect him to do enough, or at least they can, as they usually do, muddy the waters by saying he's not doing enough, or he reacted wrong, or he should have done something sooner. There's all sorts of things they'll say. Would they have done differently? Yes, they probably wouldn't have done anything. We have proof of that all through the Obama administration when several other virus outbreaks happened. But that's irrelevant because people have short memories. The fascinating part of this is what they will do. Now, suddenly their mindset is shifting from that of a global economy to we need to stop everything. And, they've been saying for 3 years now, 3.5 years now, that we need to tear down this wall and not build the wall. Well, now all of a sudden, we can't let anybody in because we have to contain this virus. Okay, well, over the course of the past 50 years or so, we've moved all of our manufacturing virtually to Asia, and now we don't make anything in this country. Are we capable of it? Yes. Are we capable of switching over immediately and doing it tomorrow? No, it takes time to rebuild the infrastructure and build the factories. And that could be where this is going. This is the conspiracy theory in my mind. If they manage to succeed in generating the level of panic that would require shutting everything down and don't let anything into this country, then the economy will tank. And in spite of the fact that President Trump is doing a phenomenal job, and I don't think anybody could do better based on what he had to start with. And I think the Democrats know that. But if they can manage to destroy the economy, then the president has nothing left to run on. And I think that's what is happening here. The stock market has crashed. It had the biggest single-day drop in the history of the stock market this week. And yet it didn't really stagger the country like it did, in, say, 1929, which led into the Great Depression. But a lot of that is because the president is handling it well. I think they're trying to destroy the country. They hate President Trump, and they're willing to destroy the country to defeat him. And they'll use this virus, regardless of whether somebody planned it or if it was natural. They will use this as a way to destroy the economy, because the only way to defeat President Trump is to destroy the economy. And I pray that I'm wrong. But if I'm right and they manage to succeed in this, what would happen is, by the time November rolls around for our election, we will be standing in a economically devastated country and looking at Bernie Sanders and communism as our only hope, which is not a hope. That's a death sentence. Ask anybody who's ever been to Cuba, and they will agree with that. But that's where we're headed if I'm right. I pray I'm wrong. And I pray also that President Trump is able to thwart every effort that they put into this and behind this. Because if he can manage to maintain everything that he's built and not let this country fall apart, then he's a shoo-in for the election. Right now, I don't see a way that he can lose. But we've seen over the past week or two what panic over this virus has done, and we've not yet seen the repercussions of that. China has entire cities full of factories shut down, and has been for a week or two. I've got a cousin who is over in Southeast Asia. He's a teacher. He's been out of work for a month now, and the school just told him that they're closed for the next 2 weeks at least as well. It's basically everything is coming to a grinding halt in Asia, and that will trickle down to this country. But that's just my opinion. You form your own opinion. Go out and look at the facts. Don't rely on whatever news source that you normally rely on. Look at all of them. Look across the board. If you're on the right, look at the left. If you're on the left, look at the right. Compare notes. See what's going on. See how things are acting. See if what I'm saying is true, or hopefully you'll find that I'm just crazy and a conspiracy theorist, and all will be well. And I'll be in November praising President Trump for his splendid and spectacular re-election, and laughing at this particular conspiracy theory. That's what I hope, and that's just my opinion. But I'm John. I'm the Hat Guy. Form your own opinion. Have a great day.